Hello and welcome back to ChronoVault. I'm your host, and today we're diving into some of the most chilling moments in American history. Moments where the world, as we know it, hung by a thread. We're talking about the times the United States came terrifyingly close to nuclear war. Now, I don't know about you, but the idea of a nuclear conflict is something that keeps me up at night. The sheer destructive power, the global implications, it's almost unfathomable. But what if I told you that we've been on the brink, not once, not twice, but at least 5 times that we know of? These are not just historical footnotes. These are stories of quick thinking, terrifying close calls, and the immense pressure placed on individuals with the fate of millions in their hands. So, grab a snack, maybe a comfort blanket, because we're about to explore the top 5 times America nearly entered nuclear war. Starting off our countdown at number 5, we have an incident from 1960, the Thule incident. Imagine it, a B-52 bomber equipped with 2 nuclear bombs, flying on a routine airborne alert mission off Thule Air Base in Greenland. So far, so dull. The crew reports an electrical fire on board. They are fighting desperately, but the fire steadily spreads, and they are forced to abandon the aircraft. Now, here is where it gets truly terrifying. The crew parachutes to safety as the B-52 crashes. The impact, combined with the fire, causes the conventional explosives in both nuclear bombs to detonate. While the nuclear material itself did not create a nuclear explosion, the contamination was extensive. But the immediate fear was that this crash involving nuclear weapons would be misinterpreted by the Soviet Union as a first strike. The world held its breath as officials scrambled to confirm the nature of the incident and reassure the Soviets. It was a stark reminder of the ever-present danger in carrying nuclear weapons on continuous alert. Coming in at number 4, we rewind just a bit to 1958, the Tybee bomb incident. Visualize for a moment a dark night off the coast of Tybee Island, Georgia. A B-47 bomber laden with a Mark 15 nuclear bomb collides in midair with an F-86 fighter jet on a training mission. The fighter is destroyed and the bomber badly damaged. The crew was ordered to jettison the nuclear bomb into the Atlantic Ocean to lighten the weight of the plane so that it could land safely. The bomb was the object of an extended retrieval effort for weeks. It was never found. To this day, that Mark 15 nuclear bomb, an instrument of war, if ever there was one, lies buried off Georgia's coast. The fear at the time wasn't just losing the weapon, but the potential for it to fall into enemy hands, or even worse, for its conventional explosives to detonate if disturbed, creating widespread radioactive contamination. It was a terrifying loss of control over a device designed for ultimate destruction. We now come to our number 3 spot, 1979, the NORAD computer glitch. This one is straight out of a Cold War thriller. On November 9, 1979, computers at NORAD, North American Aerospace Defense Command, and the Pentagon suddenly reported a full-scale Soviet missile attack. Sirens blared, launch crews were put on high alert, and strategic bombers were prepped for takeoff. For 6 terrifying minutes, the United States genuinely believed it was under nuclear attack. The cause? A training tape simulating a Soviet attack had accidentally been loaded into a live computer system. The mistake was eventually uncovered, but not before the grim reality of starting a counterattack had sunk in for countless individuals. The incident exposed critical vulnerabilities in America's early warning systems and highlighted the immense psychological toll such false alarms took on military personnel who were just seconds away from initiating global annihilation. It's a sobering reminder of how a mere slip-up could have plunged mankind into the abyss. At number 2, we have the incredibly tense 1983 Soviet nuclear false alarm. If the previous incident was a US-based glitch, this one comes from the other side of the Iron Curtain, and it was arguably even more harrowing. On September 26, 1983, a Soviet early warning satellite reported multiple U.S. intercontinental ballistic missiles launched and heading towards the Soviet Union. Stanislav Petrov was a lieutenant colonel in the Soviet Air Defense Forces and was working as the duty officer in the command center. Though the alarms were blazing and the computer screens showed the missile launch, he instinctively knew that it was a false alarm. He thought that if the U.S. wanted to start with a first strike, hundreds of missiles would be launched and not 5 or 6, whatever the number was at that moment. He thus correctly assessed it as a system malfunction, likely due to sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds, which the satellite misinterpreted as missile launches. The intuition and logic of Petrov, rather than following the protocol, directly prevented a retaliatory strike that would certainly have triggered full-scale nuclear war. His courage and critical thinking saved the world. And finally, at the top of our list, the absolute closest America and the world came to nuclear war, 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. This is quite literally the mother of all standoffs, which really needs no introduction. For 13 harrowing days in October 1962, the world held its breath. The United States had detected that the Soviet Union was secretly deploying nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles off the coast of Florida. President John F. Kennedy called a naval blockade around Cuba, demanding that the missiles be removed. The tension was unbearable. Both sides were at DEFCON 2, one step away from nuclear war, with naval destroyers dropping depth charges on Soviet submarines, one of which was armed with a nuclear torpedo. Only the actions of Soviet submarine officer Vasily Arkhipov, who refused to authorize launching the torpedo without direct orders from Moscow, prevented a catastrophic escalation. On land, commanders in Cuba had tactical nuclear weapons and authorization to use them if invaded. The world teetered on the brink, and any misstep, misunderstanding, or act of aggression might well have plunged us all into nuclear winter. Ultimately, a tense agreement was reached in which the Soviets would withdraw their missiles from Cuba in return for a secret U.S. promise to withdraw its missiles from Turkey and a public pledge not to invade Cuba. It was the moment humanity stared into the abyss and thankfully pulled back. These 5 incidents serve as a stern reminder of the fragility of peace and the great responsibility that goes with such destructive power. They also represent examples of amazing bravery and a clear thinking through which, at moments of utmost crisis, restraint was chosen instead of retaliation. And truth be told, it's easy to look back on these moments and think, that could never happen again. But in fact, the threat of nuclear war from accidental launch, miscalculation, or deliberate action remains a cold reality in our world. Understanding these close calls isn't about history. It's learning, reflecting, and continuing to advocate for a future free from such existential threats. What do you think of this list of near misses? Were there any other incidents you can think of that you feel should have been included on this list? Let me know in the comments below. And that's a wrap for this week's episode here at ChronoVault. If you found this journey through history as captivating and chilling as I did, please like this video, share it with your friends, and be sure to subscribe to ChronoVault for more explorations into the past that made our present. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, And let's hope that in the future, these types of close calls really will be relegated to the history books. See you in the next vault.